to RTV at realtourvision.com. My name is Chad, and today we're going to be going over tax settings. To find that, you can go to your Settings tab, scroll down, and right at the bottom under Ordering System Settings is Tax Settings. Under Tax Settings, you'll have your Tax Settings tab, Tax Categories, and Tax Rate Zones. Under the Tax Settings, this is the automated tax system that enables you to automatically calculate and add tax to orders placed via the ordering system. In order to calculate taxes, the system needs you to configure your tax categories, tax rate zones, and calculation settings. Tax categories control which of your services are taxable. Tax rate zones control the tax rate of each tax category and is able to set for individual geolocations. Below, you will find the tax calculation settings. And here you can enable or disable the automated tax system. And for the address to use for tax calculation, you will have three options here: service address, buyer's address, and seller's address. And for information on each of those, you'll have the service address is using the address of the property where the service will be performed. Buyer's address is using the address from your client's profile within the client portal. If the client's address does not exist yet in their profile, the system will default to the service address. Seller's address is using your company address located on the company section of your settings, which is right within here. Among other options, you have tax calculation method, and you have tax rounding method, as seen here. Next up is the tax categories. And under here, you can add additional categories by clicking Add Category. You can give it a name, and then here you'll be able to see what the percentage rate will ultimately end up being for that. And right now, we have two tax categories that we created. One's called physical goods, and the other is services. And if we went into each of these, you'll notice that there is different percentages that are assigned to each of these names, and those are under the tax rate zones. Tax rate zones are how you set the tax rates of your tax categories. Create a tax rate zone, restrict it to whatever geographic area you wish, and then supply the tax rate for each tax category you have added to the system. If a order matches multiple tax rate zones, the most specific zone will be used to calculate the total tax cost. Now here you will see I have multiple examples set up just for demonstration purposes along here. And also you'll see the ability to add tax rate zones here where you can give it a name. You can select your country. You can select your state or any, as well as any country. And you can either leave this at any for any postal code, or you can also add in a specific postal code. You can add in a partial code and just add an asterisk at the end, which then it will match all postal codes that start with those first three digits here. And right below here, you'll see our tax categories that are created, and this is where you can set the percentage rate for those services. So you could have them both set to 5, or you could set maybe 1 to 5.25. It's all up to you and your area and what you need those to ultimately be. Now, what I have here for demonstration purposes is I have it set up for a specific postal code for one area. As you can see here, you have the country, the state, postal code, and then the rate I supplied here. And then I just gave it a particular name, and I put the percentage rate here, since these match, in the name just so I can see that visually. And then I move on to anything that is not within that but contains the first three digits of a postal code. And then this one has the asterisk, and this is at 8% for those. And then I move on from there to the rest of the state, all of Michigan at any postal code. And I have that at 15%. And I continue on for any state with 10, United States, any, and then all the way down to any country with a particular percentage rate. And this was mainly for demonstration purposes. Now, when it comes to your packages and add-ons, you'll notice when you go into here, you'll have your tax categories, and you can select which tax category is specific to the package you created. Here we have services selected, which means just that percentage rate will apply for the services tax category. If you selected both tax categories, it will double the taxes. So let's say services was 6%, but you also had physical goods checked and it was 6%. If someone placed an order with this package, it would end up taking 12%. So if you just want the one single tax for this item, then you go ahead and just choose the one option and then click save. Now to demonstrate these taxes in action, here I have my storefront set up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select an option. I'm gonna go ahead and continue on through. We're just gonna choose any address that may pop up, and that is using a 496 starter. And here you'll see it chose the 8% tax to apply to that postal code, which would indeed apply to the 496 at 8%. So that is it. That is how you set up your tax settings, categories, and rate zones. Thank you for watching.